Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to participate in the East Asia Summit in PDR. Fresh Israeli airstrikes hit central Beirut. World leaders condemn attack on UN peacekeepers in South Lebanon. Kremlin confirms leaders of 24 countries and the UN General Secretary to attend BRICS Summit starting on October 22nd. And South Sudan is facing worst flooding in decades. UN says nearly 900,000 people affected due to floods. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a two-day visit to Laos. Prime Minister will be participating in the East Asia Summit today. The East Asia Summit encompasses the 10 ASEAN countries and 8 partners: Australia, China, India, Japan, Republic of Korea, New Zealand, Russia, United States and Timor-Leste as observers. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also hold bilateral meetings with few leaders on the sidelines of the summit, besides a bilateral meeting with Laos Prime Minister. Also, Prime Minister Modi is expected to call on the President of Laos PDR as well. Earlier on Thursday, Prime Minister took part in the ASEAN Summit, where he presented a 10-point plan for boosting tourism and green energy. DD India's Meghna Dev reports from Laos capital, Vientiane.
Calling the upcoming century the Asian century, Prime Minister Modi highlighted the fintech sector gaining ground in ASEAN countries, joint defense exercises, increase in direct flight connectivity, and scholarships to ASEAN students. The joint statement highlighted the support for full and effective implementation of the Declaration on the Conduct of the Parties in South China Sea and the early conclusion of an effective and substantive Code of Conduct in the South China Sea.
हम एक दूसरे के पड़ोसी हैं, ग्लोबल साउथ के साथी सदस्य हैं और विश्व में तेज गति से ग्रो करने वाला क्षेत्र है। हम शांतिप्रिय देश हैं, एक दूसरे की राष्ट्रीय अखंडता और संप्रभुता का सम्मान करते हैं और अपने युवाओं के उज्जवल भविष्य के प्रति हम कमिटेड हैं। मेरा मानना है कि 21वीं सदी एशियन सेंचुरी भारत और आसियान देशों की सेंचुरी है। आज जब विश्व के कई हिस्सों में संघर्ष और तनाव की स्थिति है, तब भारत और आसियान की मित्रता, समन्वय, संवाद और सहयोग बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण है।
मोदी जी, आपका लाओस से हार्दिक स्वागत है।
On his arrival, Prime Minister Narendra Modi received a grand community reception where Lao children chanted Sanskrit shlokas and Lao women performed Bihu as well as greeted Prime Minister Modi in Hindi.
Very happy to perform. So it was not so tough and a little bit tough, but because of Modi we can do anything and anytime. It was so happy moment for us. Also for the team, they're very happy to perform in front of. And when Modi ji said like once more, it's like I got the world,
Prime Minister Narendra Modi witnessed an episode of Lao Ramayan called Phalak Phalam. The Archaeological Survey of India, involved in restoring the Wathpu temple, presented the progress of work done to Prime Minister Modi. He also participated in a blessing ceremony by senior Buddhist monks in Central Buddhist Fellowship Organizations of Lao PDR. Meghna Dev's report for DD India.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi held talks with Japan's new Prime Minister Shigeru on the sidelines of the ASEAN-India-Laos Summit in Laos. Prime Minister Modi congratulated Prime Minister Ishiba on his new responsibility and wished him success in leading Japan to greater heights. Prime Minister Modi said that India will continue to accord the highest priority to its ties with Japan. The two leaders reaffirmed their commitment to further strengthening India-Japan special strategic and global partnership through enhanced cooperation in a wide range of areas, including trade and investment. They said that India and Japan are indispensable partners for a peaceful, safe and prosperous Indo-Pacific region. The two leaders renewed their commitment to work together to achieve this goal. Prime Minister Modi also met his New Zealand counterpart, Christopher Luxen, and they both met on the sidelines of the ASEAN-India Summit in Vientiane. It was the first meeting between the two leaders. The two prime ministers discussed about ways to strengthen bilateral cooperation across a range of areas, including trade and investment, defense and security, space, and people-to-people ties. Prime Minister Modi also invited Luxen to visit India. Prime Minister Modi announced a 10-point plan for boosting India's ties with ASEAN. Up on your screens, we'll get you the highlights. Celebrating 2025 as ASEAN-India Year of Tourism, for which India would make available $5 million towards joint activities. To celebrate a decade of India's Act East policy by holding people-centric activities such as a youth summit, startup festival, hackathon, music festival. Also, to organize an ASEAN-India Women Scientists Conclave under ASEAN-India Science and Technology Development Fund, doubling the number of scholarships at Nalanda University and provision of new scholarships for ASEAN students at agricultural universities in India, reviewing the ASEAN-India Trade in Goods Agreement by 2025, enhancing disaster resilience for which India would make available $5 million, initiating a new health minister's track towards building health resilience, and also initiating a regular mechanism of ASEAN-India cyber policy dialogue towards strengthening digital and cyber resilience. Also, a workshop on green hydrogen, and last but not the least, India invited the ASEAN leaders to join a Plant a Tree for Mother campaign towards building climate resilience. So this was the 10-point plan proposed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi to enhance ASEAN-India relationship. And now we get two updates on the West Asia conflict. Fresh airstrikes hit central Beirut on Thursday as the conflict further escalated in the region. The strikes, which occurred at midnight on Thursday, hit two Beirut locations in the heart of the capital. Israel has repeatedly pounded Beirut's southern suburbs, the bastion of Hezbollah movement, over the last 2 weeks. But Thursday's raid was only the third time the city center has been targeted. Earlier, the UN peacekeepers said that Israeli fire on their headquarters in South Lebanon on Thursday injured two blue helmets. Now, according to United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon, or UNIFIL, the Israeli strike hit an observation tower at a UN base in Nakura. UNIFIL is UN peacekeeping mission that monitors hostilities and helps to ensure humanitarian access to civilians in southern Lebanon. The attack came on the same day as the UN's peacekeeping force in Lebanon accused Israeli soldiers of repeatedly firing on its positions. Meanwhile, condemning the recent attack, United Nations peacekeepers said that they are determined to remain at their posts in southern Lebanon despite Israeli strikes.
We know that a few days ago the IDF asked us to move from certain positions along the blue line. This is a known fact, and we have over 29 positions along the blue line, like the Irish in Maroun al-Ras, and we decided to stay. There was an agreement with all the troop contributing countries that it's important for the UN to be there, to fly the UN flag, and we continue to monitor the situation. We are there because the Security Council has asked us to be there. So we are staying until the situation becomes impossible for us to operate.
Italian Defense Minister Guido Crosetto has denounced the attack, terming it as a war crime. Crosetto said that the strike was not a mistake and not an accident.
The situation in the part of Lebanon has been worrying us not since today, but what happened yesterday, and today is totally unacceptable. And there is no justification to say that the Israeli armed forces had warned UNIFIL that some of the bases had to be left. I told the ambassador to refer to the Israeli government that the United Nations and Italy cannot take orders from Israel. The United Nations and Italy are there in the act of a resolution of the United Nations, and the only way to discuss what we are doing is formally putting the issue to the United Nations, not giving orders to the free nations that are there to defend international law, to do one thing or to do another.
Leaders called for strengthening of Lebanon's army during a meeting of the 15-member Security Council. The United Nations Under-Secretary General for Political and Peace-Building Affairs, Rosemary DiCarlo, urged the conflicting parties to seize the diplomatic options put on the table before them and not the weapons by their side.
Our collective inability to stop the violence and stem the bloodshed is damning. Hezbollah and other non-state armed groups must stop firing rockets and missiles into Israel. We urge Israel to stop its bombardment of Lebanon and to withdraw its ground forces. The parties should seize the diplomatic options put on the table before them, not the weapons by their side.
While Deputy U.S. Ambassador Robert Wood said that the international community must focus its efforts on strengthening Lebanese state institutions.
We are deeply concerned by the reported injuries incurred by UN peacekeepers and are wishing them a speedy recovery. As we work to gather additional information, we have also been clear to all parties, including Israel, that we expect them to respect the safety and security of UNIFIL personnel and premises and avoid incidents that expose them to risk or harm, as well as to liaise with UN authorities to ensure UNIFIL can operate freely and in accordance with its mandate.
French UN Ambassador Nicolas de Rivera said an immediate ceasefire was needed and that a proposal for a 21-day truce put forward by France and the US last month still stands.
The way forward is clear. First and foremost, we need an immediate and lasting ceasefire in Lebanon. This is the appeal that France and the United States launched 2 weeks ago and which a number of our partners have joined. It still stands, this appeal.
In other news, Russia said that leaders of 24 countries will attend this month's BRICS Summit in the Russian city of Kazan. Russian President Vladimir Putin's foreign policy aide, Yuri Yushakov, told journalists that 24 countries will represent at leader level. He added that UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres will also participate in the Summit of Emerging Economies. Yushakov said that leaders of 38 countries had been invited in total, with 9 sending senior officials. The summit will start with informal meetings on October 22nd, followed by a formal summit on October 23rd and 24th. Russia last hosted a BRICS summit in 2015 in the city of Ufa. Also, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Thursday held talks with French President Emmanuel Macron in Paris as part of the European tour aimed at securing more Western support. Zelensky was seeking a military and financial boost during the 48-hour trip to London, Paris, Rome and Berlin, amid fears of dwindling support if Donald Trump becomes the US president next month. Speaking to reporters after talks with President Macron, Zelensky denied media reports that he was discussing the terms of a ceasefire with Russia. While Macron said that Zelensky had outlined Ukraine's plan for the next week and the pair had discussed strategy for the next weeks and months.
On the East, I understood something. As I said, the training mission for our soldiers, the brigades, we are thankful to France for this. On it depends a lot of things, especially the situation in the East, because we did not have enough rotation brigades equipped, totally equipped, 100%. So now we work with France and some other allies, and I hope in the nearest future we can count on our strong guys. So of course, big deficit with the equipment.
Big deficit with the equipment.
Following through what was done in the last months, both in terms of defense equipment as well as training.
L'avancée de la formation et de l'équipement.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky held talks with Italy's Giorgia Meloni in Rome on Thursday. After talks with Zelensky, Italian Prime Minister announced Rome would host the next recovery conference to help Ukraine's reconstruction. Meloni said that Rome's support was about putting Ukraine in the best possible condition to build a negotiating table for peace, a peace that cannot be surrendered.
Looking to a future of peace and prosperity, looking to a European future also means looking to reconstruction. So I am happy to take this opportunity to announce the date of the next Ukraine Recovery Conference, which will be in Rome on 10th and 11th of July 2025. It is an event that we hold dear and on which we have been working for a long time.
You're watching DD India Live. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, nomination for the upcoming general election in Sri Lanka to close at noon on Friday. Its festivities galore as Durga Ashtami celebrations take place across many regions in the country. The angry young man of Indian cinema continues to exude charm even as he turns 82 today.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live. In other global updates, UN's humanitarian agency has warned that flooding continues to affect and displace people across South Sudan. The East African nation, highly vulnerable to climate change, is facing its worst flooding in decades. Now, according to the UN humanitarian agency, some 900,000 people have been affected by flooding in South Sudan, while more than 241,000 others have been displaced. Unity and war-up states in the north of the country accounted for more than 40% of the affected population. The country also faces another period of political paralysis after the presidency announced yet another extension to a transitional period agreed in a 2018 peace deal, delaying elections due to take place in December by another 2 years. Hurricane Milton plowed into the Atlantic Ocean on Thursday after causing a destructive path across Florida, killing at least 10 people and leaving millions without power. Governor Ron DeSantis said that the state had avoided the worst-case scenario, though he cautioned the damage was still significant and flooding remained a concern. U.S. Homeland Security Secretary said at a White House briefing that there were reports of 10 deaths so far, adding that it appeared they were caused by tornadoes. The storm, which arrived on Wednesday night, generated tornadoes that wreaked havoc, damaging numerous homes and infrastructure. Reports indicate that at least 19 tornadoes were spawned by the hurricane, impacting various counties and affecting over 125 homes. U.S. President Joe Biden said that he believes Congress should come back into session to address disaster relief funding that emerged following Hurricane Milton. Biden said that he had not spoken with House Speaker Mike Johnson on the subject.
I think Congress should move as rapidly as they can, particularly on the most immediate need, which is small business. Vice President Harris and I said yesterday, and we'll say it again, to anyone who seeks to take advantage of our fellow Americans' desperation, whether you're a company engaging in price gouging or a citizen trying to scam your neighbors, we will go after you and we will hold you accountable.
Former U.S. President and Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump criticized the federal response to the two most recent hurricanes, Helene and Milton. Trump congratulated the Republican governors of Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina on their response to Helene. Trump has sought to portray the Biden-Harris administration's response to recent storms as ineffective, including claiming without evidence that aid and Federal Emergency Management Agency funding had been diverted to the migrants.
I'd like to congratulate governors of Florida, Ron DeSantis, Governor Brian Kemp of Georgia, and South Carolina, Henry McMaster. They were really hit hard, and they've done really a fantastic job. The federal government, on the other hand, has not done what you're supposed to be doing. In particular, with respect to North Carolina, they've let those people suffer unjustly.
All right, moving to South Asia now. In Sri Lanka, nomination for the upcoming general election will close at noon on Friday. The Election Commission has issued guidelines to the parties submitting national list of candidates. Now, the poll body has advised all political parties and independent groups contesting the election to submit a list of suitable national list of candidates during the nomination period. Meanwhile, several of the major political parties contesting in the upcoming general election have submitted their nomination papers so far. According to the Election Commission, a total of 33 independent groups and political parties have already submitted nomination to contest the general election. In Nepal, 8 lakh people have so far left Kathmandu Valley by the 7th day of the Doordarshan celebration for their home districts to celebrate the biggest festival in Nepal. It is expected that more than 1 million passengers will exit the valley via road transport by Friday for Doordarshan this year. The celebration is on Saturday when there is a family gathering and people visit their hometowns to celebrate the last day of Doordarshan. However, the number of people leaving the valley has reduced due to the disruption of roads from flooding and landslides triggered by incessant rainfall on September 27th and 28th. Meanwhile, more than 2 lakh Nepalese enter Nepal from India through the Jamunaha border crossing near Nepalganj to celebrate the Doordarshan festival with their families. On the 8th day of Navaratri in India, devotees gathered in the temples of Delhi to attend the special Aarti dedicated to goddess Durga. The 8th day, or Durga Ashtami, holds immense significance in Sharad Navaratri. It is a day of powerful prayers, fasting and devotion. Many devotees perform Kanya Puja or Kumari Puja on this day, where 9 young girls representing the 9 forms of Durga are worshipped and are offered food, sweets and gifts. Navaratri celebrations are in full swing in Ahmedabad. Devotees in large numbers have gathered for traditional Garba performances. The city came alive with music and festive lights as people of all ages participated in this cultural extravaganza. From traditional Garba to modern fusion styles, the dance floors were packed with enthusiastic participants, spinning in unison to the beats of dole and folk songs. Ahmedabad, known for its grand Navaratri celebrations, is truly a sight to behold during this festive season. India's legendary actor Amitabh Bachchan turns 82. In a career spanning more than 5 decades, the angry young man has given many hits to the Indian cinema. His charm has enthralled the audiences on television as well as with his leading reality television show Kaun Banega Crorepati. On his birthday, we get to this special report that talks about Amitabh Bachchan's journey and achievements. Take a look.
India's legendary actor Amitabh Bachchan, who's widely famous as one of the greatest and most influential actors in the history of Indian cinema, is celebrating his 82nd birthday on the 11th of October. Amitabh Bachchan is regarded as one of India's most remarkable personalities who's enthralled and entertained the audiences across generations. Throughout his career, he has appeared in over 240 plus Indian films spanning almost 5 decades. He has won numerous awards and accolades across his career. Bachchan's career is significant for its longevity, the variety of his performances, and his contributions to Indian popular culture. Amitabh Bachchan made his career debut in 1969 as a VO artist, which won a national award. His first acting debut was with the film Saath Hindustani. He rose to fame from the film Zanjeer in the year 1973, which was turned down by many actors. With this film, he earned his first Filmfare nomination for Best Actor. After this film, he was established in a new persona, the angry young man. Apart from movies, Amitabh Bachchan is famous for his famous show Kaun Banega Crorepati, which is leading the reality TV show since past 16 years. In his career, Amitabh Bachchan Bachchan has bagged many national and international awards. The notable ones are Padma Shri that he bagged in the year 1984, Padma Bhushan that he bagged in 2001, Legion of Honor that he bagged in 2007, Padma Vibhushan that Amitabh Bachchan got in the year 2015, and the Dada Saheb Phalke Award in 2018. Apart from that, Amitabh Bachchan has won 5 other national awards too. Amitabh Bachchan is famous for his poetry as well, which is a hobby that he picked up from his father, late Hindi poet Harivansh Rai Bachchan. Fans have seen his poems on different occasions that has inspired many. As Amitabh Bachchan celebrates his 82nd birthday, fans continue to wish him a longer life ahead to witness his charismatic appearances on the screen for a longer period. Deepika Mehto's report for DD India.
All right, with that, we end this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. And now you can download the respective QR codes on your screens. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.